Chris Lynch, breaking news with Airpark Canterbury. Trusted parking, backing trusted news.
A local state of emergency has been declared for Banks Peninsula after severe weather caused flooding, slips, fallen trees and widespread disruption. Christchurch Mayor Phil Major is with us to discuss the declaration. Phil, thanks again for your time.
You're welcome, Chris. This is very important.
Yep, so the declaration was made at midday, of course, following the heavy rain. So what does it actually mean, Phil? What does it mean for the people of Banks Peninsula?
Well, what it means is, a couple of things. What it means is Civil Defence and Emergency can now swing into action and do all sorts of things that they'd like to do. But it's giving the people that know what to do the power to do it without having to ask for permission. I love this sort of thing.
Okay.
I don't love the problem, but I love being able to give people the right to do stuff.
So in other words, it allows authorities to engage all the resources quickly as possible to make sure people are safe, right?
Yep, that's right. Now it's just declared for Banks Peninsula only. I've been out there all morning. I could have got as far as Little River, but down the main street of Little River, the water's 1.2 metres deep by the cafe, so I'm told.
That sounds quite deep. So conditions were supposed to have improved by now, but they're still quite treacherous. And of course, the heavy rain warning, that's actually continuing for Banks Peninsula. Is that right? It
is. When we were at Banks Peninsula where we stopped, Birdling's Flat where we stopped, it wasn't hosing down, but it's the catchment area above, up in the hills above Little River and other bays like Akaroa and all the surrounding bays around that harbour. That's what's coming down the road at a great rate of knots.
I know there was some issues with electricity and communications for Banks Peninsula. As far as you're aware, is that still the case, or are things slowly returning?
No, absolutely, you're right. The power trucks were there because they couldn't get through at that stage. There was two of them parked on the side of the road. A neighbour were there, the foreign emergency people were there. But it's mainly the state of emergency is for comms, power. Boil water knows this at Wainui, and the bridge approach has been taken out, so they can't get access to there. And slip risk, we've got to be aware of that. It might not happen instantly, but we've got to just keep our eye on what can happen. What else we got? The lake is opening at sometime this afternoon. There's diggers arriving after lunch to open the lake up.
That's Lake Forsyth?
That is correct.
Okay, and that will probably is that supposed to help the situation?
It is. One thing I learned this morning, that the lake is not actually as high as it was in May. The level is not as high. But there's so much water coming down from up in the foothills, so to speak. It's a raging torrent coming down the road. Now, one of the problems that I feel, and we've got to look into it more, we've got to make it easier for the water to get from the foothills or whatever to the lake. It's all very well you can have the lake empty, but if the water can't get to it, that's where our issue is. And I talked to a couple of locals there and they had some ideas, and I'm going to go and have a meeting with them as soon as it dries out and see how we can make it easier, better.
Phil, for the good people watching this, what kind of threshold has to be met before you, as the Mayor of Christchurch and Banks Peninsula, make this declaration?
Well, one of the things is I feel it's better to go early and give people that know what they're doing the power to do stuff. You get no thanks by saying, it'll come right. You'll be hung out to dry for years afterwards. You're better off to go early and let the people do what they know best.
Okay, any ideas as to how long this state of emergency will remain in place for Banks Peninsula, Phil, or is it too early to say?
They normally run for a week. So at this stage, the weather's supposed to be coming right this afternoon or tomorrow, but they're not out of the woods by a bloody long shot over there. So there's going to be one hell of a lot of work going to have to happen. So I'm sure it'll be in place for a week at this stage.
It is quite amazing how different the weather can behave. I was talking to John Law from Met Service just before, and he's saying Christchurch, is going to be pretty much okay now, and we are buffeted by the Port Hills in some respects, so the weather can be quite localised to Banks Peninsula, which is quite incredible, really, considering it's just across the hills.
Oh, absolutely. When I was driving out there this morning, you get to Tai Tap, and then you get to Birdling's Flat, and it's just a bit of a wet day. There's a bit of flooding on the Akaroa Road getting there, but to go to Tai Tap, you just say, this is a bit of a crappy day in Christchurch, and it wasn't that bad, but it's certainly bad over there.
What about, Phil, any thoughts on some of the places that are flooded again around, River Terrace areas, I understand, and, near Woolston and the Opawa kind of intersections there, more flooding again? I mean, that just happens every year, a bit of rain, and all of a sudden that water comes right up to the houses, doesn't it?
Well, I haven't actually been in. Actually, I've just got back from over on the peninsula. I haven't seen it myself. I know I actually came past the Sparks Road retention basins. They're filled to the brim, so we're not letting that water down into the river. So that's holding back. When I was a kid, River Terrace and Clarendon Terrace used to flood just about all the time. The thing that worries me that if it gets into houses, that's when we're looking at in deep trouble. So if it's roads, it's sad, but I'm sure it'll go away pretty quick.
All right, Christchurch Mayor Phil Major, thanks so much for the update this afternoon.
Thanks, buddy. See you around.